Hello, Ken Weller, New Tech Inventors. Well, welcome to the original print room that I had. This is a bonus room in my house where I set up my first printer. This printer right here was my very first 3D printer. I bought it on eBay for $85, December 2019. And it took me most of the day to assemble it. I had never had any experience with 3D printers. This was my very first one. And I downloaded a free version of Autodesk 123D Design CAD software and learned how to use the CAD software. To be perfectly honest, it wasn't too difficult because for years when I was in the construction business, I drew plans for houses and I used the Autodesk AutoCAD software for drawing those plans. Of course, they were all 2D. I hadn't had any experience doing any 3D drawings until I downloaded that free version. The Autodesk 123D Design was my first experience in drawing 3D drawings. But I was able to come up with a drawing, and mid-December, I think it was December 17th, I still have the video of where I started printing on this printer my first parts that I had designed. I remember the very first ones, I was just amazed that it could print that quality of part, and seeing it for the first time was really an experience for me. But this isn't a video about me or about how I started 3D printing. I've been doing those videos for over 2 years now, and I'm sure a lot of you have probably seen some of those. In my very first video, I stated that the reason for setting up this YouTube channel and doing these videos was to record my experiences along the way. In other words, when it started out, I was very new, just learning about 3D printing. After the first few prints that I did on this printer, I realized the potential of 3D printing and the potential to have a business or start a business using 3D printers to make parts, produce parts, prototype, so forth. And this all started, like I said, in December of 2019. So by early 2020, COVID had come around and there wasn't anything else to do. So I spent a lot of time working on learning how to print on 3D printers and designing different parts to make to go with these products that I was coming up with. And by the end of summer, I think it was August the 4th, was when I decided to start this YouTube channel. And at that point, I had already purchased more 3D printers. I had been in the process of applying for some patents for some of these ideas I had, and I was trying to set it up as a business by creating an LLC, or limited liability company, called New Tech Inventors. I'd gone through a lot to get to that point, and I knew I had a long road ahead of me if I was going to turn this into a successful business. So I decided, why not start a YouTube channel and show progress up to this point, and then just let people out there, if they're interested, follow my experiences. And in my last video, it was talking about starting a 3D printing business, people that are thinking about that, and you have to really come up with a good model. And the first thing I did in that last video was a disclaimer that I don't want anyone to follow the path that I've taken, because if they're interested, if they're young and interested in doing this as a business to support them, their family, then that's not the path that I took. I took a path that took into consideration that I was retired, that I wasn't dependent on another business in 3D printing to support myself. That allowed me to take my time, plan things out, and pace everything. That's what I've tried to do. I've tried to take my time, figure out the best way to accomplish things, figure out how to maintain the printers, get them to print the quality, a production quality of part, and things like that. So those are some of the things that I've been sharing in these videos, and hopefully they will help people along the way. But I'm finding out that there are more and more people that are watching some of the videos that I'm doing that don't have a 3D printer, that are thinking about it and interested in it, but they just need a little more help, a little more information on how to get into that. So that's what I want to do in these videos, is give some advice to those that are just starting out and thinking about purchasing a printer, or maybe they've purchased one and thinking about trying to make a business out of it. I feel that I can give them some information now. Whether it will help them or not, that's up to them. But I would like to offer it, and hopefully it will help somebody out there. If I can just help one person be successful in getting started, that'll be worth my while. So, back to the beginning for me. Of course, this was my first printer, and I assembled it. The King Rune came a few printers after that one. I really like this for a production printer. As you can see, I still have quite a few of them up here sitting around, and I have several of them down at the new print farm that produce parts for me down there, and I still produce parts up here. I have four of these in my office downstairs. One of them is printing a part right now for the Helping Hand. It's actually a current part that I'm needing to make stronger, and so I've redesigned it a little bit, and I'm printing the prototypes down there on it now. So I really like this printer because, as you can see, this isn't a very large room, and I needed several printers. I had about 10 of these running up here at one time. They were running in addition to some ANET ET4s and ET4X printers that I had up here. Turned out it produced a lot of good parts. I also purchased several of these Monoprice Delta printers. I have a rack over there. I actually put them in a rack that I could move around. I have about 8 of those, and the only problem with these printers is that it has a very small build plate. But the Delta printer is a very good printer. I just love watching them print. And I don't know if you can see in the background, but I have a couple larger Delta printers back there, the FL Sun. They're nice to watch, but when I got these small ones, I just couldn't make very many parts. I could make several. About 50% of the parts for the Helping Hand could be made on here without any problem, even with that small build surface. I could make all of the Helping Hand parts on this 180 by 180. But then when you get to the 200 to 200 and 220 by 220, then that opened up for larger parts like my lap diner and so forth. And then the ANET printers, I have a lot. If you've seen any videos of my new print farm, I have about 40 ANET printers down there, and they're ET4s, ET4X, and ET4 Pro printers. This is an ET5. I don't have any ET4s up here anymore. The ones that were up here went to the print farm and joined the new ones that I put in down there, so they make the majority of the parts for me for the different products that I'm making. experience doing any 3D drawings until I downloaded that free version of 123D design software. Oh boy. So you sorry. Okay. Let's start all over here. I'm going to come back there and pull somebody's plug in a minute. That thing's through alerting. That's my camera system. So until the next time, happy printing from NewTek Inventors.